We're going to get on the ball again. Okay? We're going to get on the ball again. All right. Yeah, I know. It's rough, isn't it? It's rough. Are we done? You think you're done? Okay. You want me to talk it through? Okay, one of the things we want to work on with John is just getting him up on his knees to build some muscle tone and to help straighten him out a little bit. So we want to lay him over the ball with his knees bent on the floor. And then we want to work his arms little by little up. So he's supporting himself, so he has to lift his upper body. And you can just hold him there like that for a little bit. And just let him look around. You okay? Excuse you. You okay? Alright. We need to make you calm. And then you can roll it a little bit. He can sit like that. We don't want to do it for very long, maybe 5-10 minutes at a time. But this gives him a chance to kind of move his legs. You can even roll it forward a little bit to try to get him to put his hands down. And that'll help him get ready for crawling. I'm not worried right now about the hands being open, because his hands are still really tight. But just doing a little bit of that will help loosen him up some and help him get ready for crawling. And if you put maybe a toy down in front of him that makes some noise, that will help encourage him too. Huh, buddy?
How often should we do this every day?
2 or 3 times a day. And as he gets better at it and gets stronger, you can increase the time. But I wouldn't do more than 5 or 10 minutes at first, just because his muscles are tight and he hasn't used them this way before. We don't want to hurt him.
What do you think John's biggest challenges are right now?
Getting the seizures, if that's what they are, under control. Because right now, I know. Because until that happens, doing some of this is going to be like starting over every time. Because we don't know where the seizures are happening, and we don't know what the effect on the rest of his systems are. You know, if it's happening in the motor area, the language area, all over. So until we know that right now, that's the biggest challenge for John. Because you're a smart boy. Yeah. Can we show him how he sits the other way, John? The biggest thing to remember is if he's all tight and stiffened up, you don't want to force anything, hands open or legs apart, because that will hurt him more. So if he's really, really stiff, go slowly and don't force. Okay, come here, John. We want to get John sitting on the ball too, where that curve is. And just start out. We want his legs to eventually go across, but we don't want to force them. And so with that, you can just kind of hold him around the chest. And the bouncing seemed to loosen him up the other day to where he was able to get his legs down to the ground. So we want to get pressure on the bottom of the foot. Right? Yeah, we want to get pressure on your feet because we want you to walk when you're ready. And the same with this. You don't want to do both of them, the laying on the ball and the sitting at the same time, but 5 to 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day. And you can sit in front of them. I'm just sitting behind you so you can see on the video. What? What?
So it seems like a lot of times if he's active like this, we don't see as much of the seizures going on
Yeah.
as we do if we're holding him, and especially if he's kind of laying back.
Right. He does seem to do better this way. He still tenses his muscles some, but not as much. And when he's sitting up here too, you can work on opening his hands while he's sitting there. Just kind of lightly, press on him while he's bouncing, and that'll help keep him open. And I haven't been able to tell if there's one side that's tighter than the other, or if they're both equally tight for him.
If you could tell John's potentially adoptive family one thing, what would you tell him?
He is a very sweet, very loving, very smart young man. He just needs some medical help to get him where he can be. So I think once we find out what's happening with the seizures and we get that under control, I really think he's going to blossom and just grow. But right now, with the seizures, it's just impacting everything. And getting a look at the tonsils and adenoids to see, just because of the grunting, snoring sounds.
Some breathing challenges that he's having.
But see, he's gotten this one to where it's almost to the ground. Sorry, did I startle you? And when he loosens up, you can even go side to side with the ball some, getting his feet to touch the ground, so he knows what that pressure on the bottom of his feet feels like. And just encourage him to look up. He does better looking up when he's got his arms to use to push up. He'll get there, won't you? Yeah, you'll get there. Aren't you? I'm a good little boy.
Alright, say bye-bye, John.
I'm a good little boy. Bye-bye. Yeah. You're a good little boy.
That's pretty
Just
good.
push it again.